As physical therapists, we serve with skilled hands, compassionate hearts, and thoughtful minds, preventing illness, easing pain, and restoring movement, allowing for greater independence. This is truly a noble profession. My mission is to transform how we prepare the next generation of physical therapists by delivering high-quality hybrid education at a sustainable cost. So graduates enter the profession capable, still hungry for more knowledge, and ready to serve unburdened by financial aspects and prepared to make an immediate impact. Well, it's interesting because I was a metal sculptor for a while and I loved using my hands, and I really did like creating things. And it's not like I'm going to do that in physical therapy, but what I could do is I could take a person who had had a stroke and work with them to allow them to walk more easily. But very quickly I differentiated and started to specialize into the cardiac area. And so what I really, really enjoyed was the thought of being able to work with a person 24 hours after they had a heart attack and get them up and get them moving and then putting them onto an exercise program. I mean, it was just so enlightening to me to see these people because they're in the hospital. They're in terrible shape. Most of them are in a lot of pain. And then watch them as we go through. We start to exercise as outpatients. They come into their cardiac rehab program and see them all of a sudden starting to feel better and starting to improve. And a lot of people could get into better shape after their heart attack than they were prior. And that to me was just something very, very rewarding. I graduated from physical therapy school. I went to Baltimore City Hospital. I worked with a nurse and a physician, and we created their first cardiac rehabilitation program, which was exactly what I wanted to do. But what was, again, life sometimes just has these twists and turns that you can't explain, but the one was, there was a person, the anatomy teacher, who recognized that I really wanted to be a teacher, and he knew I wanted to go on in graduate school. And so he said, come on back and teach at University of Maryland. Now you got to understand something. I'd been out for 1 whole year, but to go to a university, start teaching, and have them pay for me to get my PhD was the best. They paid the tuition. But research money, that was different. I had to get that through either the person I was working with or a foundation grant. And I did get a foundation grant. It was over $4,000, but that was enough money at that time to pay for a lot of the electron microscopy, which I had to do as part of my dissertation. So there was something, that magical serendipity of being a practicing physical therapist, all of a sudden being asked to teach, going for my graduate degree in experimental pathology, that just was like bing, bing, bing. And it worked out so well. One of the things that I loved about my education is when I graduated, I was hungry for more knowledge. I'm very anxious these days in PT education that I think we're overfilling our students and they graduate full. And I don't want them to graduate full. I want them to graduate curious and hungry to go and learn a lot more, because I do believe in what I call the Dunderkruger effect. I was the sharpest guy on the planet my junior year of PT school. I was cracking backs. I was doing stuff that I'm like going, oh my goodness. And then you get into graduate school and you realize how little you really know. It's one of those amazing things of, because you think you know it all, and then all of a sudden you realize, no, I know only like this much. So in 1990, when I got my PhD in research pathology, I was invited by the American Physical Therapy Association to be a content expert. And in those days, we were moving from a bachelor's to a master's degree. And they were called the Impact Conferences. But I'll never forget the first day I show up and there's 20 of us sitting around a table, all content experts, all the people that wrote the book specifically on each one of these topics. And I'm sitting there just going, wow, because I hadn't written a book. I was just a newbie PhD. And I'll never forget Dr. Van Zandt, who was the person that was leading this group, at one point looked around the table and just went, wouldn't it be amazing if all of us were on one faculty? And in a lot of ways, that was the birth, in my mind, of what we created with Rehab Essentials. Because what happened with Rehab Essentials is nowadays, I can get faculty from all across the country that are content experts and bring them into the fold to teach, which is just so different. It used to be if you went to this university, you had that faculty. Think about how this has changed with, again, online education. Think about how that can then go out to many, many, many more people. I knew all the people that were the content experts, and I could literally say, Dr. Saccone, would you be willing to teach pharmacology? Dr. Boisenau, would you be able to do a screen for medical disorders? And so I could just go like this and ask them, and they were all like, yes, let's do this, because I was being flown all around the country and students were being charged outrageous amounts of money for weekend courses to do this. And I said, we can do this online and charge way down here. And our quality of education was so good. And students loved it because they could take it at their own pace. They didn't have to sit there on a weekend, fly into this course. They could just do it on their own. Just so you understand, currently now, we have over 200 students coming to our program 3 times a year from all over the world. Next year at graduation, there'll be over 33 countries coming to it. In my wildest dreams, I had no idea. And again, APTA, I think, said by around 2014, that degree would die out. But they were thinking about American physical therapists. Well, the world wants the degree as well, because many people would love to come to this country and become a physical therapist. But please realize many of them want to go back to their country and really upgrade the level of physical therapy that's going on there. Last time when I was up there on the stage, the president leans over to me and literally goes like this, because we're looking out at the audience, and the audience is flown in from all over the world, and literally he goes, this is what education should be. AIRE was Cheryl Castellet's idea, and that is, she's the marketing person for Rehab Essentials. And I told her I'm starting an endowment, but come up with a good name. I'm not good at that, but boy, oh boy, she's genius. And what I loved was she goes, okay, well, let's call it AIRE, A-I-R-E. So A stands, she wanted it to stand for angels. Well, if anybody knows me, they know I'm not an angel. So I call it angels or anybody willing to investigate or research, A-I-R. And air also is what we are breathing in. And from my aspect of physical therapy, oxygen uptake is what it's all about. Breathing in the air, going into the lungs, going from there into the left side of the heart, pumping out that oxygenated blood into the arteries, which then delivers it to the tissue that allows aerobic metabolism. So air is so functional to me and what I've been teaching students for years and years and years. But then we added the E at the end. So the academies of cardiovascular and pulmonary, they're going to focus on efficacy research in the cardiovascular and pulmonary area. And that can be in an acute care situation, or it could be anywhere from wellness, health promotion, could be post-MI. So that's that AIR. The E stands for education, because there's 2 things in my life that I've focused on: cardiovascular and pulmonary, but also education. So the people that will use it Again, the way it's written right now is the acute care and the cardiovascular and pulmonary have research agendas. Typically, they have an idea of what they're trying to do. So the way that this is going to work is it will be a $40,000 award that will be given 1 year to the cardiovascular, pulmonary, and acute care, and then the next year it would go to education. So each year it'll flip back and forth once it accrues more money. At this point right now, I've started it up. I'm going to continue funneling profits from Rehab Essentials into this because I'd like to see it, instead of being 1 year this, 1 year that, I'd like it to be where both of them get it every single year. So I'm going to try over time. And one of the nice things is Linda and we don't have kids. So in our estate plan, the largest amount of money is going to go to the Foundation for Physical Therapy Research. So first thing that happens, I think, when you turn 70 is a lot of your friends will unfortunately start developing pathologies. Some of them will die. And you realize that life is finite. And I've always known that, but you get up to 70 and it becomes a little bit more real. My goal is to work with others and pass the torch, that spirit of what it is I'm trying to do with education, to others. Finding people that want to learn how to do what I think, and hopefully they think as well, is what's important for the next generation, because eventually they have to pass the torch. And it's just passing the torch, making the world a better place for people. And passing the torch that way, to me, is the way you do it. I think our profession is a wonderful, wonderful profession, and I would love for people to put financial resources towards that. As we get up there in years and we have a nest egg, to think about giving to the Foundation to Physical Therapy, because as physical therapists that work in a clinic, you're not paid a whole lot, but it's a rewarding career that you're helping people to function better, alleviate their pain, and you're doing it through your hands, your heart, and mind. And it's not drugs, it's not surgery. There's something about physical therapy that to me is very unique, and that I'm hoping that they get a sense of pride of what it is we do.